I was in this morning, ran home, did some like Boston paperwork, came back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. All set. Thanks, Wes. All right, great. Good evening, everybody. Where the time is 5:04 p.m., I'll go ahead and call today's meeting of the School Building Committee to order. We'll start with a roll call. Mr. Auville couldn't make it today. Mr. Devon? Here. And Chairwoman Heeger's not here. Councillor Hume? Here. Mayor Kokoris? Here. Superintendent Lee? Here. Mr. Spellman? Here. Mr. Cello is absent, and I am here. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on February 13th. They were all distributed with the packets. Everyone should have had a chance to review those. Any comments or discussion on the minutes? No, there's been a motion made. Is there a second? Motion seconded by Mr. Devon. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Thank you. Moving right along, at our last meeting, we had some discussion about the IT temporary procurement as it related to the new South Middle School. We've got Doug Murray with us from Hill to offer us an update.
Good evening. I handed this out before the meeting. Basically, this is an update on where we stand. The front page, the 3 items at the top, or the 4 items at the top. The first 2 were awarded in September for $429,000, and the next 3 were awarded on the February 15th meeting. We did receive the estimates for the last. We had provided an estimate at the last 2 of over on the right-hand side, $56,000 and $2,000 for the UPS and the gym wall telephone. We did solicit. No one responded to the initial request. We did solicit through HubTech. It was allowed by the state procurement laws, and we got costs in at $54,654 and $1,564.90, both below the estimates. So now, in terms of the overall budget, we're running about $87,719 below the estimate of $960,000, which is part of the state PFA reimbursement. So we would be looking for acknowledgement of those 2 awards tonight. And then attached to the packet are the 2 awards that we were looking for acknowledgement, as well as the POs that were issued for the other work on the front page. And then the last page is the IT temporary award that we talked about last week or 2 weeks ago. And the one issue that we raised was whether or not we could find better terms on a lease than purchasing the equipment outright. Unfortunately, we did discuss that with them, and it didn't matter. It was just the length of time you ended up paying for it. So we went with the $114,000 first option to go. But they did say that regardless of the term of the lease, you would own the equipment at the end. So if you wanted to pay it off in 1 year or 3 years, that was up to you. So that's where we stand. So just looking for acknowledgement of those 2 awards. And that's the IT update. Everything should actually, this equipment only stands out 3 or 4 weeks. So.
Can I just ask before we do that, Doug, we talked in addition to looking for potentially more favorable lease terms, we talked about any kind of initial investigation into reuse or repurposing of the equipment. I know it's only been a couple of weeks since we last met, but do we have any further information on whether or not we'll be able to repurpose that somewhere else?
Well, we looked at the resale cost. It's probably going to get about 25% back would be the hope of the resale. We have not fully investigated reuse with the school department or in other town departments.
It sounds like what we discussed and approved last time is going to be the best option for us here. Okay.
Yep.
Does anybody have any other questions on IT? Mr. Devon? Sure.
Mr. Lee, did we get those specifications to our IT people to see if we could use that equipment anywhere else within the system?
And we will. Part of the, there were 2 ways to take a look at it. One was the resale of the equipment when we were done with it. The other is repurposing it. We'll continue to look at repurposing it, and to the extent that that's not practical, then we'd look to resell it, maximize the utility of the equipment.
But either way, it's just kind of a loss.
Yeah, unfortunately, but it's, it's supply chain, and to tell you the truth, I have Nova project in Arizona that's being delayed 6 months because they can't get the switchgear. So, you know, we've talked about that in other
Which is
jobs.
not a problem that we're going to.
Not a problem for us, right?
But obviously, this equipment, Mr. Devon, is critical to open the school. You know, it's a must-have. So although it's not desirable, I think it's essential we go down this path.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Certainly.
My thought is, I'm willing to bet that new, well, it's supposed new material, but it's like one generation below what we're specifying. I'm willing to bet that material is probably newer than what we have in some of our schools. Can it be? If we're going to, I would rather spend the money and have it upgrade everything than to take a 50% loss.
Mr. Devon, we absolutely will. I cannot tell you exactly where we would do that, but our tech department will work on that to make sure that if we can utilize it, we will utilize it. At the end, if we cannot, then now we're back to resale.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Just unfortunate.
Yeah, and one of the issues they're facing is can the infrastructure you have in place actually be compatible with even the last generation equipment?
Certainly. I'll just say for me, it was important that we kind of ran down every option, and I feel that, Doug, that you have with the team and in talking to the superintendent, that this is truly the only alternative to keep us on track as far as the technology goes. So if nobody has any other questions on that, if you could just remind us which are the items that you need acknowledgement on.
The ones below the yellow line, the UPS and the gym wall telephone protective covers.
Okay, great. And so we would be looking for a motion to acknowledge the HubTech UPS award for $54,654.06. Is that the right number, Doug?
Yes.
And the gym wall telephone protective covers at $1,564.90. There's been a motion made. Is there a second? Second. There's been a second. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now for the item that we are mostly all here for this evening. We've got some great updates on the roof replacements at Hollis and Flaherty, and we've got Mike Lickney with us this evening.
Yes, thank you for meeting. Come bearing good news. We came in well below budget on both schools, especially on Hollis. We can replace all of the roof sections. We are well below the 30% threshold to conform to full ADA compliance, meaning we don't have to put an elevator in there. So I've been on the phone today regarding Young Developers, which is the low bid prime bidder on Hollis. And so far, so good. They're actually working with our designer, BWA, on a project in Weston. They have plenty of public building, mostly in Connecticut, experience, but they are in Massachusetts as well. We, on Friday, sent a form over to DCAM requesting files, which is essentially going to provide us with a longer list of references, so I will hopefully have that tomorrow. It's typically a 48-hour lead turnaround for them. And best case, I think on Wednesday, I can give the final go-ahead, but so far, all signs are pointing towards they're good to go. And we've worked with Titan Roofing plenty of times, so we're also making calls there, but I think we're good to go on both. I think we spoke on Friday regarding a approval of Young Developers pending final review, which is going to be once we've received the DCAM files and make final calls. Hopefully tomorrow, we should be good to go. From there, they will, we can give them a letter of intent to award. And at that point, we'll give them the form of contract and request various documents, payment and performance bonds, insurance. They'll sign that, and we can send that back over to you for final execution.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike? Mike, I just have a quick question.
Yep.
Just looking particularly on Hollis, how much lower the bid came in. If somebody could just make sure that everything's covered in the proposals and there isn't they didn't miss anything, or there's not a cost that was inadvertently not included in the bid, just given how much lower that came in at.
Yep. That's
Just to
part
make
of
sure.
that's part of our due diligence. So you're talking about the 2.25 million
Yeah,
estimate? Yep. That's something that
yeah, it's a huge difference.
it is.
So, which is great.
Yeah. Thankfully, we did carry, the roofing market seems to be leveling out, which is nice, which explains a lot of it. But we are looking into that.
Okay. And so just as we had discussed, PCA does have some experience with Titan roofing, but a little bit further due diligence is required on young developers because we are less familiar with their work. So I think it makes sense to take up each of those separately because I think the motions are going to be a little bit different just based on that information,
Sure.
right? So what we would be looking for Hollis is approval contingent on completion of due diligence as it relates to young developers, to award the contract for the Hollis Elementary School roof replacement. There's been a motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. And then for Flaherty Elementary School, we would just be looking for a vote to approve awarding the contract to Titan Roofing for roof replacement at Flaherty Elementary School. It's been a motion made? Seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Perfect. Well, thank you very much. And so just to be clear, we're still on track to do these replacements this coming summer.
Yes. Yes, and
Wonderful.
hopefully we can rein it in.
That's great.
But we'll have a kickoff meeting shortly after the contract's been executed. Regarding that, is there someone I should send the contract to for signature?
So if it's this week, you can certainly send it to me. If it's not this week, you can send it to Lorraine C. And
Okay.
copy the mayor's office. Make
Perfect.
sure that gets taken care of.
Easy enough.
Great.
All
Thank you,
right,
Mike.
thank you so much.
All right, well, they are certainly members of the community. I don't know that they would have any questions, but we do have Principal McDonald and Principal Rainey here with us this evening. Thank you both very much for coming. And I'll just take this opportunity to say that this will be my last meeting. Thank everybody for all of your work. I've truly enjoyed these projects more than I think I ever could have imagined enjoying them, so thank you for that. I will go ahead and let's set a date for the March meeting, which Vice Chair Councilor Hume will run, and at which point the mayor will have appointed a new representative to take my seat on the board. I don't believe, Doug, we're not going to have anything requiring approval in the next few weeks that would kind of justify a meeting date? Okay. So looking perhaps at Monday, March 20th? Okay, Monday, March 20th at, do you want to do 5 or 5:30? 5:30. And we'll make sure that the room and BCAM are all set for that next meeting. I wish everybody all the best and look forward to future groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings on all of these incredible projects. And with that, is there a motion to adjourn? There's been a motion made. Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Aye. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night.